Bob, okay. Thank you for waiting patiently, Bob. I appreciate you. If you want to be a part of the show tonight, click the $ below the chat box. You can attach a super chat there to get your question or comment on the show. Bob says, what schools would provide the most value to the Big 12 if they won playoff games? Achievement being the same, which school would bring the most value? That's an interesting question. Like, if you're going to have a school in the Big 12 win multiple playoff games, who would you want it to be because of basically how big of a profile they could build and what that would add to the conference? I mean, I see you're a Texas Tech fan. Obviously, my mind drifts there first just because Texas Tech already has, in some ways, the respect of the college football world from just buying up a bunch of talent, because nothing speaks to the national college football heads who cover the sport more than just talent, right? How much discussion is there about that? The blue chip ratio. That's how you get into those discussions consistently and don't get treated as just like a cute little side project. It's by accumulating talent that registers on all of the lists that they look at of talent. And so Texas Tech has done that. We now know that they've got this booster that can pay for more talent moving forward, unless Deloitte is going to just totally crack down on all of that. So there is probably some value in Texas Tech doing that, as long as they continue to do it with number 1, number 2, number 3, whatever, like top 5, top 10 portal classes and recruiting classes. You know, if it includes that, and it's somebody who is legitimately accumulating talent, that's how you get the respect of everybody who's covering the sport at a national level. Arizona State definitely has some buzz built up now. They could very much be in the discussion. I would still almost say, though, like Utah. I come back to Utah a lot with this because they have been so consistently good. And I know people would say good, maybe not great, but they had been so consistently good for a long time. And especially with the back-to-back Pac-12 titles, playing in Rose Bowls built up a lot of national notoriety. There's so much respect for Kyle Whittingham. I still think Utah could be one that would be very beneficial. BYU, probably the only problem with BYU, like I look at it and say, well, BYU's got a national brand because of the LDS Church. They have a national championship in 1984, right? I mean, there are some things working to their advantage, but I look at how they got treated last year, and I guess you could say, well, John, that was because of low expectations before the season. You're right. That is definitely a part of it. But man, I don't know. I think some of it is the talent thing. Like BYU didn't have a roster full of guys that registered high on any transfer portal list or recruiting rankings. And so there's just this perception that it's this kid that's been coached up from Logan, Utah all over the roster and not a really talented one. You know, this isn't basketball with AJ DeBonsta. So I don't know that it registers quite enough on that. So I guess TCU, I think TCU has played in a national championship, won a playoff game recently. They've had multiple 12-plus win seasons in the last 10 years. I think TCU would be in that conversation. They are somewhat, they've always been like on the periphery of some of these conversations of, could you make it to the Big Ten or SEC someday? And a lot of it has to do with where they play in DFW. So where are we at? We're at Texas Tech, TCU, Arizona State. Did I mention anybody else other than saying BYU? It might be a little more iffy. Those, I think, are the schools that come to mind to me off the top of my head. It's like K-State, probably not a big enough national brand, even though there's a lot of respect for Chris Kleiman. Baylor has had some of that top end success and is probably like close to being in that conversation. Like maybe Baylor could. Their star has just fallen a little bit here in the last few years. I forgot an obvious one, I guess. Colorado, but only with the caveat of if it's Coach Prime. If it's Coach Prime. Like that is what makes it such a fascinating one to dissect here. This is a really good question, Bob. If Coach Prime is at Colorado, it is very helpful. If it's not, it's just, your average coach that's not nearly as much of a draw. People will lose some interest in Colorado as soon as Dion goes, if he goes, whether or not the next coach wins. There will be less people watching the games. We all understand how this works by now after we've seen the TV ratings for Colorado. So If Dion is there though, and they're going to the playoff, man, that thing will get crazy. So that one definitely, that does have the most upside. That does have the most upside. Curious who you think would add the least? Oof, boy. Put me in a tough spot there. I hate doing it. Maybe like Cincinnati, Houston, schools that just have not had as high a profile, have struggled the last couple of years. And I do know Cincinnati, all due respect for the playoff appearance in 2021 with Luke Fickell, back in the old playoff, right? But there's just not a lot of juice right now surrounding the program. I guess off the top of my head, that's where I would go with that. I mean, I think like your Iowa State, K-States of the world, because of their location, don't always garner as much respect as they probably should. Those are some thoughts there. But maybe some of those have started to change a little bit. Okay. Thank you for the questions, Bob. I appreciate you on that. Please do like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Appreciate all the guys who do that and who are here. You can subscribe to the Open for Business Big 12 newsletter, which just surpassed 4,000 subscriptions. You can do that at ofbnews.com. That's ofbnews.com. Appreciate everybody who does that. And let's see. John-Kurtz-4 on Venmo is another way to get in touch. If you're not watching this live and you want to get a question or comment in, I'll kick off the next show with your question or comment if you submit it to John-Kurtz-4 on Venmo. So appreciate all of you guys who do that.